Hey everybody, Rob Hoke here, Bass Stalker Fishing. I want to do a top 5 for you guys today. I've kind of done one of these for every different season so far, so I wanted to get my top 5 summer baits out. Just keep in mind, this is going to be my top 5 for the lakes I fish, and a lot of the lakes I fish, it's vegetation, it's soft muck bottom. I don't have a lot of hard bottom lakes, so I'm not going to have a lot of crankbaits and stuff on my list. I do use crankbaits, but I don't get to use them as much as people who do get to fish those hard bottom lakes. So we'll get into this. My number 1 is, even though I don't get as many bites as I do on other baits, it's just a fun way to fish, and that's frogging. Okay. The frogs I like to use are the Spro frogs. I use the Bronze 65, and I also use the Spro Poppin' Frog. And honestly, this is my favorite color right here. It's the Killer Gill color. It's a deadly color for largemouth, I tell you what. But I love frog fishing, and I love throwing them in the heavy, nasty stuff with a 7-9 heavy and 65-pound braid. But it's definitely a fun way to fish, but you definitely won't get as many bites. Number 2 for me would just be a chatterbait. A Z-Man's original chatterbait is the style I like to use. They actually made some improvements to their original chatterbait. They put a different kind of tie on there, eye that you tie onto, so you don't have to worry about it opening up on you. And also they put a better keeper on the hook, so it holds these trailers a lot better. But this is the way I like to fish them, right here with a swim bait. That's probably how I'm going to throw it 90% of the time. But great baits, definitely around over submerged vegetation. Great baits, definitely. I always have one tied on whenever I'm fishing. 3 would be a crawl style bait. I like the Zoom Super Speed crawls. This is just a black and blue. This is number 3 because I can put this on the back of a jig and flip it. I can use it as a trail on the back of a football head jig, a grass style jig, a structure jig, or I can just throw a punch weight and a hook on it and punch this through real thick vegetation. So number 3 is definitely something you can flip and pitch around the lake. Number 4 for me is going to be the old trusted rubber worm, the ribbon-tail worm. The ribbon-tail worm is probably caught more bass than any other bait in the history of bass fishing. But I tend to throw a bigger rubber worm on average. I like to throw the Zoom ol'monster. It's a 10.5-inch worm. I do have some bigger ribbon-tail worms, and I do have some smaller. But if I had to go out with one, if I had to put one in my top 5, it's going to be the 10.5-inch worm. Just a regular, standard ribbon-tail worm. And you'd be surprised, you still get, 2-pounders on a 10.5-inch worm, but I think the 10.5-inch worm gives me a bigger bite. I'm not going to catch those, 1-pounders, those 12-inchers. It's just going to get me a better bite, and I can fish this shallow, I can fish this deep, especially in the summertime when a lot of the fish go shallow to hang out in that cooler water. I can fish this out there deep. I can fish it on the edge of grass. I can fish it in brush piles. It's just a very versatile bait that gets a lot of bites. And speaking of baits that get a lot of bites, my number 5, and speaking of fish catching baits, this is a bait that I've talked a lot about, and it's number 5 on my list. And this is a bait that I'm just going to catch numbers, and it's the Zoom Fluke Stick. If I had to pick one size, I'd pick the 5-inch, but there's a couple different ways to throw this bait. You can fish it Texas rigged with a weight. You can fish it Texas rigged without a weight. You can fish it wacky rigged with a weight, or on one of those jig heads to get the bait down quicker. You can throw it on a Nico rig. You can throw it weightless wacky rigged, which is what I did the other day, and it worked pretty well. It's just a stick worm, but it has that little fluke tail, which I like. But it's packed with salt, it sinks well by itself. But just another great bait that's just going to put a lot of fish in the boat. So definitely give these baits a try. If I lived on a lake with harder bottom, a crankbait would definitely be on that list. I still throw some crankbaits a lot. Like, I love my square bills, and in certain situations I will throw a crankbait if I'm at a lake that gives me that opportunity to throw them. But that's it, guys. I hope this stuff helps you out. I hope some of you guys can go out there with some of these baits and really put some fish in the boat. And if you catch anything big and you want to share it with me, you can go to my Facebook page, Bass Stalker Fishing, on Facebook, and you can post them on my page. I'd love to see some of your guys' catches. But if you have any questions, let me know. Check back soon. We'll do another video. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I definitely appreciate that. Take care, guys.